2 games. That is all that stands between Arsenal Football Club and the Premier League title they have been chasing for 22 years. 2 games and a Champions League final in Budapest already waiting. And the conversation that the whole football world is having right now is not whether Arsenal are good enough, it is whether Arsenal will let themselves be good enough, whether the nerves, the history, the weight of near misses past will find a way back in at the critical moment. That is the question. And everything that happened at West Ham last Sunday and everything the pundits have been saying this week points to the same answer. This is different. This time, it feels different. Start with the mentality conversation because it is the one that matters most. There has been significant criticism of Arsenal over the past 2 seasons, particularly around whether they have the mental makeup of genuine champions. They finished second twice. They let City back into title races they were controlling. They were brilliant in bursts and fragile at the margins. And then came West Ham away last Sunday. Fighting for relegation, West Ham. Everything in front of goal. A disallowed late equaliser that made the London Stadium erupt before the VAR check silenced it. A Raya save that felt like it decided a season. And a Trossard winner in the 83rd minute that released something that had been coiled tight inside this squad for months. Ian Wright said it exactly right. Teams that go on and win Premier Leagues are not playing free-flowing football at this stage of the season. They are finding a way, and Arsenal found a way. That is the difference between a club with ambition and a club with the mentality of champions. You do not have to win 4-0 against a relegated side. You have to win, and they did. The Raya conversation has been building all season, and it deserves its full moment. 18 clean sheets. 1 in every 2 games. There are games this season where he has not been required to make a save because the defensive structure in front of him has been so suffocating. The numbers on shots on target against Arsenal are roughly half what Burnley have faced in the same period. That is how dominant the defensive block is. But when Raya has been called upon, he has answered every single time. The save against Fernandes at West Ham was not a routine stop. That was a goalkeeper putting his body between his team and a result that would have had the whole title race conversation shifting in a very different direction. Roy Keane put it in the title-saving bracket immediately, and he was right. That save in that moment with that scoreline might end up being the moment people point to when they talk about how this Arsenal season was won. What sits underneath that save, though, is the defensive unit as a collective. And the comparison that came up in the studio this week was not a soft one. The last team at Arsenal level in terms of throwing their bodies in front of shots, making last-ditch tackles, doing the ugly work that does not show up on a graphic but prevents goalkeepers from having to make saves, was the Chelsea side of the John Terry era. That is a serious reference point. Saliba and Gabriel as a pairing have become something genuinely special. Quick, strong, physical, aggressive, dominant in the air, brilliant in the opposition penalty area for set pieces at the other end. The spine of Raya, Saliba, Gabriel and Rice is the backbone of everything Arteta has built. Defend first, be hard to beat. Let the confidence in that defensive structure feed into the attacking players above it. And it has worked all season. Declan Rice. Player of the season conversation. 35 appearances, 5 goals, 4 assists, 63 chances created. But those numbers, taken on their own, do not tell you what Rice has actually been this season. The moment that was highlighted this week as the defining image of his year was not a goal or an assist, it was a chase. A full 3/4 pitch sprint to make a block so that Raya did not have to make a save. That is the job description Arteta gave him, and Rice has executed it every single week without exception. The moment on his knees after the City defeat, saying it is not over yet. It is not over yet. That is the mentality of someone who does not just believe individually, but actively transfers belief to everyone around him. And when he makes a mistake, which he does occasionally, he does not fluster. He almost laughs it off and carries on, and the team follows. That emotional regulation from a midfield engine has gone through the entire squad this season. It is not coincidental. It is culture. Arteta's culture, transmitted through the player who exemplifies it most completely. The Arteta question is one that keeps surfacing, and it needs to be answered properly. When the season began, Arsenal were being projected 4th, Liverpool were the favourites, City were the reigning champions, and here Arteta stands with 2 games to go, 2 points clear, a Champions League final confirmed. Jules Breach made the sharpest point in the studio this week. You can do a great job until you have one proper Not the FA Cup in an empty stadium during a pandemic. Proper, with a crowd, with a full season, with the title race going to the wire. The credit that Arteta deserves will come with the trophies. But what has actually happened at this football club over 6 years is a transformation that goes beyond results. The reset of the culture, the DNA of how the club operates day to day, the quality of recruitment, the ability to field 2 genuine options in almost every position and maintain the level. The last-minute equaliser at City at home, the last-minute winner away at Newcastle, the win at West Ham with everything against them. These are not lucky moments. These are moments that well-built teams with strong culture create. The character has been there all season. The title is what makes everyone say so publicly. The double question is one the pundits are starting to treat with the seriousness it deserves. Winning the Premier League and the Champions League in the same season is extraordinarily rare. It has only been done once in the Guardiola era at City. The clubs that have done it in the modern era across European football can be counted on one hand. For Arsenal to do it in a season where they were not favourites at the start, in a season where Odegaard has missed 24 matches, where Timber barely played, where they have improvised at right back across 3 different players, where they lost Ben White in the final stretch, would place this team above the Invincibles, above the greatest squad in the club's history. Jules said it plainly, a league and cup double is great. A league and Champions League double is something else entirely. It is so rare that even a squad with weaknesses, with positions still to upgrade, with a story built on adaptation, rather than dominance, would be remembered as the greatest this club has ever produced. And Henry's word has been circling all week, unforgettables, the nickname that the pundits in the studio immediately latched onto, because it captures exactly what is at stake. If this Arsenal side wins both trophies, they become something the club has never had. Something English football has produced only a handful of times in its entire history. Unforgettable. Literally. And the counterpoint was made with the kind of brutal honesty that only football can produce. If they do not do it, what are they? The forgettables. It is unkind. It is probably unfair on a squad that has reached heights no Arsenal side has reached in a generation. But that is the conversation that happens when you get this close. The only answer is to win. The Burnley game itself needs to be treated with exactly the level of respect it demands, no more and no less. Mike Jackson came out this week and said Burnley are not there to be rolled over. They will push Arsenal as hard as they can, and that is not posturing. Burnley drew 2-2 at Aston Villa last Sunday in a match that showed they still have energy and fight. Their away record against Big Six clubs in 2026 is genuinely competitive. They kept clean sheets and took 4 points in 2 of their last 3 visits to the Emirates. They are already relegated, which means they have nothing to protect and everything to prove. The players who are out of contract, the players who want to move, the players who want to be remembered for something in what has been a difficult season, all of those motivations can make a relegated side dangerous in ways that a team defending a lead sometimes underestimates. The one thing that could stop Arsenal on Monday is thinking they have already beaten Burnley before they step onto the pitch. Complacency, and the pundits said it clearly this week. That is the only real threat, because this Arsenal squad has not demonstrated complacency once this entire season. Not in the Champions League, not in the league, not at West Ham when it could have let the nerves win. But Monday is a different kind of pressure, and Arteta will know that managing the emotion of the occasion is as important as anything tactical. The atmosphere question is one Arteta himself addressed this week, and it is worth sitting with. He talked about the bus welcome before the Atletico second leg, about the moment he looked around at his staff and his players and said to himself, we have taken this to a different level. He wants that again on Monday. Another arrival through a corridor of noise, another crowd primed and ready before the first whistle. Another night where the Emirates becomes something more than a stadium. Jules said it plainly. The atmosphere on Monday has to be like the Atletico second leg, like a knockout game, because that is what it is. It is a knockout game dressed up as a league fixture. And Arsenal fans have waited 22 years for this. They will know what the moment requires. Win on Monday and Arsenal are a step away. City will have to respond at Bournemouth 24 hours later, knowing that a draw is not enough. The pressure shifts completely, and the pundits in the studio were barely containing the feeling this week when they started talking about whether the players might gather to watch the City game together. Mario gave the most honest answer: when you are chasing a title and you can see the end, you watch everything. You text your teammates at 2 in the morning, you cannot help it. You need to know. And if Arsenal win on Monday night at the Emirates with the title in sight and City still standing between them and it, the texts will be sent, the group chats will erupt, and 24 hours later they will find out together whether it is done or whether it goes to the final day at Crystal Palace. This is where they are. This is what 22 years of waiting, 6 years of building, a season of adaptation and character and last-minute winners has brought them to. 2 games, their destiny in their own hands. An unforgettable waiting to be written.